Okay, I'm hoping you can hear me now. So this should be okay. I think I had to change the microphone. It's about, yeah, something of that nature. Anyway, so hopefully you'll be able to hear this one today. I think the one I just started previously might turn up on YouTube. We'll just have to delete that one when it comes up. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, once again, good morning, go live with the daily intuitive horoscopes forecast. So what you'll also see as I'm speaking live is how I access my intuition. Nothing is written, nothing is prepared. Not because preparation is not a good thing, just to be clear. It's more because when I use intuition, there's nothing that I need to prepare with. I'm in the present moment. That's what my focus is on, just simply being in the present moment. Some moments you'll also see that I pause just to slow down enough, and that's where I'll access the information for you. Just to be clear, these daily intuitive horoscopes are for you to go deep within your own inner being so that you learn how to access your own intuition. Ultimately, that's everything that I do. It's all about you accessing your own intuition. Okay, good. So the audio is working now. Okay, thank goodness. And I will also, you'll see me as I'm recording that I'm also recording the audios and video just so that it makes my life a lot easier, as once we finish, then everything has to be put onto Instagram. Now, during the live, you're welcome to ask any questions. I'll make sure that I come back to looking at if there's any questions here. You can, the best time to ask a question I would suggest is once I finished a particular forecast. So once the forecast is done, that's the best time to ask a question, or you can wait till the end. But generally, I'm guessing people will hang around just to listen to their own forecast. It's very rare that you're going to sit around the entire time and listen to somebody else's forecast. However, that being said, the work that each forecast receives in their daily forecast can be work that anyone can do. It can be for anyone. It doesn't have to be just for that particular star sign, because all of the work that I'm offering here is for you to get present to access your intuition. And that is the whole purpose of these forecasts. And that's how you'll find that they're very different from perhaps what other astrologists will do. Not that I call myself an astrologer, as I don't know anything about astrology. Okay, so that being said, we'll dive into the first forecast of the day, which is Aries. And I'll start recording it. Just give me 1 second, sorry. There it is. You'll appreciate the opportunity, perhaps today and the next few days, dear Aries, where you can make a move in your life that you've wanted to probably make or take for maybe 7 or 8 months. And it feels to me that everything has aligned in your life perfectly to support you. Hang on. Am I hearing there's still no audio? Hang on a second, guys. I'll have to restart that. Okay, can someone let me know if the audio is okay? Because I've got a message now saying there's still no audio. Can I just get a quick message just letting me know that you guys can actually hear me? If anyone doesn't mind doing that. If you can hear me, or if you can't, the audio is good. Okay, cool. Thank you very much. Okay, so now we have to... Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. Okay, start again. Let's start fresh. Hopefully one day I'll be really good at this. Okay, 1 second, please. Okay, so we're going to start again for the Aries. I'll just jump in now. You have an opportunity, dear Aries, for a movement in your life. And it's a movement that you've wanted to probably make or take for the last, I believe, maybe 6 or 7 or so months of your life. Now, the reason that you have the opportunity to make this move in your life now is because certain elements have aligned for you to be able to make the move. And also there's been growth within you and a new understanding about who you are and being very clear about what you want. It's the clarity piece. It's taken about 7 or so months for the Aries to come to this clarity piece, which is, by the way, normal. I say it's normal because it's very easy to beat yourself up and go, why did it take me 7 months? There are many lessons that you've learned along the journey of the last 7 or so months that have brought you to the amazing clarity that you now have about what you want. Because you're now clear about what you want, that's what then it brings certain elements together for you to make this move in your life, or it's a movement of some kind. And my feeling is the movement, when I say it's a movement of some kind, it also allows you, and in some ways pushes you ever so gently to step into a completely new era or phase. Let's just say completely new phase of your life. And this completely new phase of your life will allow you to clear some of the company you keep in your life, because some of the company you keep in your life won't be able to match you, perhaps more so mentally, which is something that's going to be important for you. And what you'll also find is that you'll be bringing in new people in the new phase, a new era of your life, because those new people will be able to match maybe more so your mindset. And it's not to say that you just get rid of people. That's not what I'm suggesting. What you'll find is friendships and relationships begin to shift and form, some new, and then some of the old ones, the dynamics will shift, and maybe 1 or 2 people, you'll find that you may not spend as much time with them anymore. Okay, so that's for the Aries today. Just make sure I keep this. Okay. So the part where I say, and I feel like this is really important for the Aries to take on, the part where I say you'll have new people, be careful with this, because this is how your ego can easily get in the way. Oh, I either have to get rid of people, which is not the case at all. It's not something that you're going to be consciously doing. As you step into this new phase, step into this new era of your life, you're not going to be consciously choosing who's in it and who's out of it. So I just want to make that really clear, because if that's something you think you're doing, understand that that's how your ego gets in the way. Be careful not to be trapped by those types of thoughts and ideas. It's more that you're focused on the movement and the move that you're making in your life. And it's you essentially raising your vibration. So raising your vibration also supports you to create a brand new mindset, which, by the way, will have an adjustment period. But as you create this brand new mindset, then of course people with the old mindset and the old version of you, they're just not going to match that energy, only some. And then you'll find other relationships will also transform, which is awesome. The dynamics of certain relationships will shift for you. Okay, so I'll just prepare for Taurus. Again, you guys can ask any questions if you have any, or you're welcome to just sit and listen. I will check every so often, see if there are questions. I wonder if people can go live with me here. I don't know. If anyone knows, let me know, because that would be cool. Because then you could jump on and we could have a conversation. You're welcome to do that as well. Okay, so we're stepping into Taurus. And one of the things I'd love for you guys to know is, in particular, those of you that are interested in accessing intuition, that is the pace of the present moment. And you'll constantly hear me talking about this. This is not something that's necessarily going to change. That's what I'm looking at. It's not something that will necessarily change. So you'll find that even whilst I'm speaking, sometimes the pace moves faster and then sometimes the pace moves slower. As I'm about to dive into a forecast at the beginning, you'll find first thing I do, perhaps I would say consciously, it's just I move at a pace. Because I've done this for so long, it feels like second nature to me. So whilst I'm preparing, for example, to record the next star sign, I'm already feeling the flow of the breath, feeling sensations, noticing the pace of the present moment, which is always slower than the pace of the mental. So already all of that is occurring in what may appear to be the background. And as that's occurring, then once I'm access the pace of the present moment, that's when I lock into intuition. And it's the same thing for anyone. So the moment you access, is it really? Oh, no. So the audio's out again. I don't know what to do here. That's weird. Is it out for everybody? No, it works for you. Okay, so, okay, don't confuse me. Okay, all right, Denise, it might be your audio, so just check in. Okay, cool. So as I'm accessing the pace of the present moment, then what's happening is I lock into intuition, which is the same thing for you. And I share this all the time. If you want to know the secret to intuition, it's the pace of the present moment that you need to access. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that then I move really slowly. I can also work very fast whilst accessing that slower pace, because the slower pace is internal. So within, the pace is very slow, it's very quiet. There's not me thinking or analyzing or going, oh shit, what am I going to say for the next star sign? There's no question. It's just very quiet. Even though the pace of my talking may be quite fast, and I do know that I speak very fast. Okay, cool. Melinda, transformation guide. Cool. Wonder what that is. What does that mean? What do you do? A transformation guide. What do you do, and how do you use present moment awareness to be a transformation guide? I envision that present moment awareness would be incredibly important and valuable as a transformation guide. I'd love to know. Let me know. So we're going to dive into Taurus. You have to make sure, dear Taurus, that you're not getting ahead of yourself. There are certain signs that you've been seeking, looking for in your life, which have landed for you, which is beautiful. And these signs have given you the confirmation that you've been looking for, the validation that you've needed in certain areas of your life. It's not like you're going to feel completely validated in every area. Just want to make that clear. So there's in certain areas, and one area in particular, you've required or needed this validation. It's a moment of feeling heard, feeling seen, which is perhaps one of the most extraordinary feelings we get to experience as human beings. Now, this occurring, and whilst this is occurring, there's a temptation for you to get a little bit ahead of yourself by getting a bit big for your boots. It's almost as though, there's that feeling of being validated, I feel heard and seen. Then it's like, okay, I got this. I now know what to do. I don't need to, for example, practice slowing down or practice being in there. I got it. I know exactly what to do. I'm going to take it from here. And there's the temptation to move at a pace that is incredibly, incredibly fast. And that's where you'll find yourself falling flat on your face. So perhaps more so now and the next few days, as you're feeling the confirmation or you're recognizing the signs in your life and also feeling this validation, just stay with it. Don't let your ego take hold of this feeling of validation. It's very easy for your ego to now go, I don't need all the things that I thought I needed. I've got this, which is ultimately the practice of slowing down, connecting deeply with yourself, honoring your decisions, and staying consistent, which is what you've been doing. And the ego right now can very easily fool you into going down a path that isn't for you. So you have to be very, very mindful. Go back to your practice now more than ever before. I want to say humble yourself. I don't know if that's the right word necessarily, but what I will say is keep your feet on the ground. This is a big danger warning for the Taurians. I got to say, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Just 1 second, please. Yeah, cool. I always just need to make sure everything's recorded properly. Okay, I'm not surprised that this is the case for the Taurians. I'm going to read that in a second, Melinda, because especially with the Taurians, you can be very good at convincing yourself and thinking that you've got it. and moving at a pace that is faster than the present moment, you're not going to get anywhere. And when you move at a pace that is faster than the present moment, and what I mean by you're not going to get anywhere is wherever it is you're going, as soon as you get ahead of the present moment, you think you've got this, you're missing the most important, valuable steps on the path that you're on. Okay. So that then means that wherever it is that you arrive at, you haven't had maybe the spiritual, emotional maturity and growth along the journey to be able to handle that next space or phase of your life, just to make that very clear. And it can be quite common for the Taurians to do this. Okay, so I help people move through and beyond past trauma, up-level skill sets, intuition, sensitivity, boundaries, self-care, communication, etc., and align with who they are becoming. Ah, beautiful. Okay. Just taking that in for a second. And so does that mean for you there's a practice of present moment awareness? Because I shouldn't say assuming, because it's not an assumption, but if I, for example, when I work with people, what I find it most important, of course, is present moment awareness, and also being able to hold space, which means no judgment whatsoever. Yes. Okay, great. So you're holding space for the other person to show up exactly how they need to show up with the past trauma, and that's what supports them to then rise through. I'm just interested in, tell me, where are you from? Where are you? Are you from Australia, Sydney, or somewhere else in the world? I'd love to know. Thank you. Okay, beautiful. So now I'll set this up for Geminis. I know that Geminis have been going through a lot as well for some time, kind of similar to the Scorpios, but they've been going through a lot. Okay, however, I'm going to say this for the Geminis. Oh, yeah, cool, John. Oh, awesome. Yeah, John's a great, great human. Yes. Oh, that's really cool. I can't believe that you heard from me from John Gabriel. He's an amazing human. Awesome. You're in Arizona. Okay, beautiful. Thank you. It's lovely to meet you. So with the Geminis, I also want to remind you guys, just before I dive into your forecast for the day, is not to focus too much on the emotions. There's a lot of different emotions that are arising. And when I say not to focus too much on the emotions, perhaps I should say it a little bit clearer. Instead of focusing on the story around the emotion, your best bet is to hold space for an emotion. And just to be clear, holding space means there's no judgment. It means that you're not trying to change the emotion. You're not trying to get rid of it. And also part of holding space, well, in fact, you have to be in the present moment to hold space. What I was going to say was part of holding space also means that you can acknowledge the difficulty of feeling an emotion. However, the truth is, when you're fully in the present moment, in the here and now, whether it's difficult or not, I don't feel really makes a difference anymore. However, that being said, there are some emotions that are more difficult to feel than others for a myriad of reasons. But what's not valuable for the Geminis, I really should be recording this part, but what's not valuable for the Geminis is getting lost in the story and the reason for why you're feeling what you're feeling. I'm not saying you should never look at why you're feeling what you're feeling. At the moment in your life, the more energy and attention you give to the why and to the story, the more difficult you're going to make things for yourself. So that being said, I feel like I just gave the forecast without recording it. Let's dive into the forecast for today, which will be around emotions again. So for the Geminis, there's a lot of different emotions that have been rising to the surface, pushed back down, back to the surface again, and some very difficult emotions. I was just sharing on the live earlier that with the Geminis currently in your life, and this is only for now, okay? This will shift and change as you grow. It will shift and change as you develop a deeper and richer understanding of your own emotions and of who you are. And that's kind of what's occurring in your life at the moment. is it's almost as though life is coming at you from all different angles to help you develop an understanding or a deeper and richer understanding of who you are, which is necessary for the Gemini and for you, for what you are here to produce and give to the world. So part of the difficulty that you're currently experiencing is almost molding you into who you need to become so that you are able to deliver what you are here to deliver or produce to the world. Now, that being said, my recommendation for the Geminis today is whatever the emotions are that are arising for you, of course, it's always important to acknowledge the emotion. That's useful. And there are times in your life where it's also going to be important to talk about why you feel how you feel. Today, that's not going to be useful for you. Today, it's about being open to whatever the emotion is. It could be sadness, it could be anger, it could be rage. And once again, operating from a space of present moment awareness. And maybe what that looks like, as an example, is an emotion arises and you place both feet firmly flat on the ground for about 90 seconds. Just notice your feet on the ground. Notice what it feels like to have the earth beneath your feet. And that's all you want to focus your energy and attention on. You know the emotion is there. You're not in denial of it. Just keep coming back to feeling maybe the sensations in the inner energy field of your feet, and or if you find that difficult, then just notice your feet on the ground. Every so often, just tap your feet so you notice them on the ground. This is going to be a really great way to remove your attention from the story of why you're feeling how you're feeling or what you're feeling, because the story is beginning to get in the way and not allowing you to rise through how you're feeling. And it's time in your life for you to be able to rise through how you're feeling, at least for now. There'll be other moments of other emotions, but I'm just talking about for now, because there's a purpose that's becoming clearer and clearer to you, and you need to give more energy and attention to that purpose. Okay, so that's for the Gemini. My intention here is, whether you're here live or you listen to all this a bit later, is that you get to recognize how intuition works. You get to see how intuition works. You get to experience how intuition works. Even as you're listening to these words, for those of you that are on the live stream right now, if you take the time to simply bring your attention to any part of the body, it doesn't matter where, and take the time to feel sensations in the inner energy field of the body. Let's just say I would suggest go to the inner energy field of your left knee, just as an example. And what you're able to do is notice that there are sensations flowing through the inner energy field of your left knee, and just stay there. Now, many thoughts will pop in, of course, different content. None of it is useful. This is how I would describe it. It's just a thought, like imagine the pen is a thought. It comes in, you give it energy and attention, and it starts to expand, or you can notice the thought and then go back to feeling sensations in the inner energy field of the left knee. Another thought. The thoughts are constant. Comes in, you don't have to stay with it. If you stay with it, that's where you start to lose yourself in thoughts, ideas, and stories, and things that are actually not occurring. So what you can do instead is go back to notice it. So I'm going to notice a thought when it pops in, and then ever so gently bring my attention back to feeling sensations in the inner energy field of my body, which is how I do what I do here. And I would recommend the same for you. You can do this as you're listening. You could close your eyes and keep feeling the sensations in the inner energy field of your left knee, and eventually you'll be able to move through different parts of the body. The inner energy field of the body is the doorway into the here and now. There's never any point in being ahead of the present moment. As much as I hear it all the time, I'm going, this is great, I'm going to get ahead of the moment. It's like, you're going to miss a lot of things when you're ahead of the moment. Okay, I just set up Cancer. You guys, if you have questions, you're welcome to ask them. What you'll find is when I sit here and even by looking at your name, what's the beauty of intuition, perhaps, is then I'm able to get a feel for if there's anything that is useful for you to hear in your life. So I don't want to call it a reading because to be honest with you, I really don't like that word. And I know lots of people call it that. And that's fair enough. Perhaps it is what people see it as. To me, I've never seen it as a reading. I don't know why. I just don't. Even when I do the one-on-one intuitive sessions, I don't see it as a reading. However, if you have any questions, you're welcome to ask. Feel free. Now, that being said, I do. That's so crazy you just asked. Because I was just about to say, and I thought I'll leave it, but I've only just opened my calendar now to intuitive sessions. Absolutely. There is a questionnaire that you'll need to fill out just so that I can make sure we're both on the same page. Some people want intuitive sessions. I don't imagine this would be your case, Melinda, but some people want intuitive sessions because they want to know what's going to happen somewhere in their lives, which is why I say this is not a reading. I'm not going to tell you who you're going to marry and who you're going to meet and what's going to happen. That's not my job. Can I see certain things? Yes, but I find things like that very boring. I want to work with an individual who wants to be empowered and take full responsibility of who they are in the present moment and not, what's my future going to look like? I think it's such a disempowering question ever to ask somebody else to tell them about what their future is going to look like. That's just my opinion. This is my personal opinion. I find that very disempowering. Okay. So yes, I do. And you can go onto the website, bondiguru.com, and maybe I'll leave a link here at some point, and you can go there and fill out the questionnaire. Okay. So let's dive into Cancer for today. You've had some interesting suggestions that have turned up for you in your life, perhaps just in recent weeks, dear Cancer. And I say interesting because they're useful for you. They are suggestions that will actually make quite a difference on your current journey. That it's almost the feeling that I get is you'll be able to level up thanks to these suggestions. The issue, if there is one, however, is that you've put these suggestions on the side burner because you've made yourself a little bit too busy. So you now no longer have time for these suggestions. The more you make yourself busy, the less you're able to connect to a way of life that has ease and grace. Your busyness is keeping you further and further away from the energy of ease and grace. Now, it's not to say that you should stop everything you're doing. That's not what I'm suggesting. It's more that perhaps it would be useful for you to take some moments of quiet today. You've got to create these moments of quiet because the truth is it's very easy to go, well, I don't have the time for it. You have to make the time for this, right? And moments of quiet sometimes is like 5 minutes, is 15. Go for a half an hour walk by yourself, nobody else. No music, no content. Content is the last thing you need whilst you're in your quiet space. And just go quietly. Now, you may even present a question to yourself. Not, how am I going to change my life? Or those types of questions are not useful. Perhaps a question could be, what are the suggestions in my life that I'm dismissing? That's it. And just leave that question. Write it down somewhere and leave it, then go for a walk. Be quiet for about 30 or so minutes. Now, you may find that you have to do this every single day this week. You may not necessarily come to the answer right away. I feel like because there's a part of you that's kind of going to want to quickly get the answer to go back to being really busy. And so that's the danger here. So my feeling is it's going to take the Cancerians a good week or maybe even 2 weeks to be where you're at, to be able to actually hear some of the suggestions that you've been putting to the side burner. So I would highly recommend that exercise for as long as you need to do it until you hear what the suggestions are. Now, here's the thing. Cancerians are incredibly intuitive. Dare I say it this way, because I don't know that, I believe that we're all intuitive, right? I don't know that anyone has more of a gift than somebody else. I've never felt that. I've always said that the gift belongs to the present moment. The more present you're able to be, then the easier it is for you to access whatever the gift is, right? Let's say the gift is intuition. And I know that Cancerians have a great ability to hear and feel intuition. They also have a bit of a stubbornness about them that doesn't allow them to take action on intuition. And the stubbornness part is the logical. When the logic comes in for the Cancerian, the need to understand and know exactly how all the steps are going to work out is what then becomes your downfall when it comes to accessing intuition. Now, in particular, the suggestions that I've just mentioned in your forecast, I feel like the reason it's going to take a week or two, maybe even longer for some Cancerians, is because that stubborn part of you is at play right now. That stubborn part of you is quite prominent right now because you're just too busy. You're too busy trying to get somewhere, which is understandable. There's nothing wrong with what I'm saying about where you're at either, by the way. But if you could take a time, if you could take the time to recognize how busy you are, just take a moment, take a breather and go, okay, acknowledge to yourself, damn, I am really busy. A lot of my time is taken up with lots of things that I'm doing and not enough being or time with myself. That alone will accelerate the process of you being able to truly hear the suggestions that you've been asking for that will lead you to the energy of ease and grace. You can do things through force, which will create a lot of pain and stress and so on in your body and mentally in your life, which can lead to unwanted decisions, or you can do them through present moment awareness, which allows you to access the energy of ease and grace. Now, that being said, just to be clear, it doesn't mean you're going to be present all the time. I want to make that very clear. I'm not suggesting that once you get what it means to be present, that now you have to go back and all you do is be present the whole time. You'll oscillate between here and now, between feeling connected, disconnected, but the oscillating between here and now and feeling connected and disconnected becomes less and less, as opposed to really long stints of feeling disconnected. So it's all part of the process, depending on what you're going through, who you are, your intention and so on. So there's no judgment of, what do you mean you're not present 24 hours a day? I don't know that anybody is. Okay, now we'll dive into Leo. Again, you're welcome to ask any questions if you have any, or you can just sit and listen whilst you're bringing your attention to the inner energy field of your body. I'm hoping this is your practice. Imagine that every morning at 8 a.m. you sit here for an hour and practice feeling sensations in the inner energy field of your body. I tell you, then the words I share, they don't mean anything, because then you'll realize the space that I'm speaking from is a space you have access to. Boom, that's where your intuition is, and that's where your intuition then guides you according to your bigger picture. Only you have access to that. Okay, let's dive in for Leo. You've got a few questions that have been sitting on your mind for a little while, dear Leo. And I'm going to say this. I don't feel any of the questions that have been sitting on your mind are going to be useful. They're questions that will lead you to feeling disconnected and disempowered. They're questions that are very logical and questions that are the part of you trying to understand the how of, let's say, magic or miracles. Now, I'm not for a moment suggesting that you sit around and twiddle your thumbs and wait for miracles to happen. That's not what I'm suggesting. However, that being said, I want to remind you they do happen, and you need to believe in miracles that do happen. You need to believe in magic. I am someone that is very, very far away from airy-fairy. That's not how I operate. So there needs to be a groundedness, an energy of feeling present, feeling grounded, and being practical. I think all of those things are very important. So I'm not saying that sit here and wait for the miracle. What I am saying to you, however, is there's two things going on. The questions that you have sitting somewhere in the back of your mind are not useful. They are questions about yourself, somebody else, your life, kind of like, oh, do I keep doing this? Do I know? Something of that nature. They're not useful to you. So what I'm going to recommend the Leos do is just write the questions down on just piece of paper, right? It's energy. And then just rip it up and throw it out. You don't need to know anything further than that about those questions. Maybe there's about 6 or 7 questions. So can I suggest for the Leos to write down 6 or 7 questions that you have on your mind that kind of float about day in, day out, and just rip it up, throw it out. And then I was going to go somewhere with it, but now I've lost it, so there's no point going there. So as you get rip up these 6 or 7 or so questions, then what you want to be able to do is bring your attention to feeling sensations in the inner energy field of the body, which brings you back into the present moment, because there's going to be a part of you that will question you getting rid of the questions. And that's the logical part of you. And that's the part of you that requires love and nurturing from you. It's the part of you that requires your ability to speak kindly to it, rather than I'm not listening to anything you're saying, I'm not listening to these questions, I'm going to throw everything out, right? It's not about dismissing that part of you. It's more about bringing, it's a very vulnerable part of you, by the way, dear Leo. So it's more about bringing nurturing and love to that part of you. Okay, and that's for the Leos for today. I think, have made this a little bit clear that the forecasts are for the day. Sometimes I'll go a little bit longer, but often they're just for the day. Let's stay in the day that we're in today. I think it was for the Leos the other day. I think it was where I said, ask yourself a question every morning when you wake up. This is a very powerful question. It's very simple and it's also very powerful. And the question is, how would I love to feel today? Now, I would recommend this for everybody. It doesn't have to be the Leos. How would I love to feel today? That's it. And hold space for the question. Holding space for a question means that you're not desperately seeking an answer. It means that you can allow a question to be. And some questions will trigger discomfort. Some questions will, and I think let's just stick with the word discomfort, because most emotions are discomfort anyway. So some questions are going to trigger discomfort, and what we have a tendency to do is not want to feel discomfort, so we quickly want to make up an answer. So what we'll do is go to logic, go to the head, create an answer, which is how the ego operates, create a made-up answer, and then we've got the answer. We don't have to feel uncomfortable anymore. So what I recommend is holding space for a question. You don't need to know the answer, certainly not from your head right away. You've got to be able to hold space for the question to be in existence. Let it be where you're at. Let it trigger what it needs to trigger. I've always said this, that questions are like a, what's that word? Just, not metaphor, a magnet, right? So the best way to know what's going on for you internally is, and this is how I work when I do intuitive sessions with people, whether they're in group or one-on-one. My greatest ability is to find a question that becomes a magnet, and that magnet moves through your body and knows exactly what to pull out, right? So it's not like I'm doing anything. All I'm doing is staying in the present moment. The question comes to me, and that's the question that I give to you for you to go and work with. Sometimes a client may go and work with a question for a week or two, and the answers and the triggers and the stuff that comes up and out is mind-blowing. All they needed was one question. That question is a magnet. It will pull out of you whatever it is that is sitting there, that is especially in the way of you accessing it, whether it's your power or present moment awareness, intuition. Power, present moment awareness, intuition to me is all the same thing. Can you be blocked? Yes, absolutely. What is it that blocks you? Thoughts, ideas, concepts. Can you unblock? Yes, absolutely. How do you unblock? Keep bringing your attention to the here and now. Here and now through feeling sensations in the inner energy field of your body. It doesn't matter what kind of life you've lived. It doesn't matter where you're at. It doesn't matter what you have in your bank account, don't have. It doesn't even matter the amount of stress you may currently be experiencing. You can still find the present moment through feeling sensations in the inner energy field of your body. And as you do this, your attention is now away from this stuff. This is the thinking, right? Your attention is now away from that mayhem. Your attention is away from the chaos, the pace of the mind. Once your attention is away from the pace of the mind, you're here now. When you're here, the ego doesn't have access to the here and now. It doesn't have access to the inner world. And it's not to say the ego is a bad thing either, just to make that clear. It's not good, it's not bad, it's not right, it's not wrong. I'm just sharing this with you because it doesn't matter who you are, what kind of life you live, what you do for work. None of that matters. Present moment awareness is accessible to everyone and anyone. So long as you're not, on anything in the moment, I think, is any type of substance in the moment. I feel like that can interfere. Okay, let's move on from that. We now have Virgo for today. Again, any questions, feel free to ask. Sorry, I've got an eyelash that's driving me a bit crazy at the moment. Just take a sip and then I'll dive into Virgo. So what I'm doing here is just taking a moment to pause. What's important to me as I offer these forecasts is that my identity is not involved. Who I think I am, anyway, is not involved. My personal opinions are not involved in your forecast. So I have to remove myself, which is the identity, which is who I think I am. I have to remove that completely out of the way in order to deliver your forecast, right? And I do that through everything that I'm sharing here with you. There's no big secret, right? And I do that, and anyone can do it. It's just it takes a lot of practice. So I may be, let's just say, better at it than some people only because I've practiced it more. That's all. Not because I'm gifted. So what I do is bring my attention to feeling sensations. And I allow the pause to be as long as it needs to be. I may have to sit here for 3 to 4 minutes. So that being the case, it's very easy for thoughts to come in and go, oh no, there's people watching or waiting, or oh no, the Virgos are waiting for their forecast. None of that is useful. Who cares? Doesn't matter. All that matters is that I am delivering what intuition needs to share with the Virgos, not what I think they need to hear based on who I think I am or my identity. So my identity has to be out of the way. The identity is ego, same thing. And the only way that the identity is going to be out of the way is present moment awareness. I hope this lands for, may not for a lot of people, but I do hope it lands for some of you. And what I would love for to land for some of you, if possible, is the power of the present moment. And I mean, I think nobody describes the present moment better probably than Eckhart Tolle. So maybe have that, the power of now, on repeat in the background. Sometimes that's useful too. He's brilliant. Okay, Virgo. You've arrived at I want to say a position in your life now, dear Virgo, where what's going to be most valuable for you is expressing a part of your heart. I'm going to call it heart, but let's just say it's a part of what's in your heart that you've kept to yourself for a long time. The reason that this needs to be expressed is so that you can free yourself of the many different thoughts that are consuming you based on whatever it is that's sitting in your heart. How you express this is entirely up to you. And sometimes the most courageous thing that we can do is just write down how we really feel. And sometimes the most difficult thing we can do is be honest about how we really feel. Because if we write down or be honest about how we really feel, then it's almost like, because I hear people say this a lot, then it's almost like we're making it real. There's nothing wrong with how you feel. What isn't working for you is trying to keep it in a box and hidden somewhere in your heart the way that you've hidden it, hoping that it won't turn up or it won't interfere in your life. Except what it's doing now is creating a lot of mental noise, which is getting very difficult for you. You will clear that mental noise once you address what is in this box, okay? That's the metaphor analogy. And so the way that you do this and can do this, of course, you can sit with somebody and just express it all. If you find that that's something that's very difficult for you and you maybe don't have, many people that you can trust, don't worry about that. Then just sit and be with yourself in a very quiet space, get pen and paper and write down how you're feeling. So what I would suggest is the question is, how am I really feeling? And so I would recommend that you ask this question of yourself a few times over. I'll talk more about this in the live that you can go back to listening to a little bit later in your day. I'm going to talk about how you ask yourself a question, in particular the tone of how you ask yourself a question, as I won't be able to fit it here in this video. Okay, so I'm going to share something that I feel is incredibly important, and perhaps I feel that is not addressed really ever, at least I've never seen it before. So we're going to, let's just say for the Virgos right now, and this can apply to everyone and anyone. How you ask yourself a question, the space you ask it from, and in particular, I was going to say the tempo. I don't know why that word keeps coming in, but in particular, the tone that you ask it. That tone is everything. That tone will either connect you to intuition or disconnect you from intuition. So it can't be a tone that is harsh, that is loud. It can't be a tone that has any emotion necessarily in it, because emotion will disconnect you from intuition, because emotion's connected to different stories. Not that I'm suggesting there's anything wrong with feeling emotions or having emotions. So, for example, for the Virgos, there's something that's hidden deep down. They know what it is. And it could just be as simple as, it actually will be very simple. It could be as simple as, I feel really disappointed about my life, right? Just giving you as an example. I'm not saying that this is what it is, but just as an example. But the thing is, the reason they don't share that, because it would then, in their mind, according to their ego, then what is that going to mean about the changes I have to make in my life? And the truth is nothing. You don't have to do anything other than be honest about how you're feeling. Just being honest about how you're feeling is enough to open a door to release so many thoughts, ideas, concepts that don't actually belong to you, right? Again, this is for the Virgo, but I would recommend it for anyone. It doesn't matter your star sign. So the way that I would go about this is asking the question, again, if I was working with you, this is what I would recommend. So the question is, how do I feel right now? Most people, I can ask you a question, how do you feel? In fact, the amount of people that do not tell you how they feel is mind-blowing. It is incredibly rare to sit with somebody and say, how do you feel? And they actually address the question. Most people go straight into story. Well, what happened today, or what happened in my life? Da, 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 da. Not right, wrong, good or bad. It's just they don't address how they actually feel. So I don't really ask the question, how are you feeling? It's, how are you really feeling? And I find sometimes I ask this question, I'm not joking, 20, 30 times. So I'll allow the client, for example, to go into how they think they're feeling. Then I'll interject. I'll stop. Wait. How are you really feeling? Oh, well, this happened with my dog and I feel quite upset. Stop. How are you really feeling? So what they're doing is avoiding how they're really feeling because of what they think it means about who they are, or the changes they have to make and what's going to occur in their lives if they make those changes. So there's a lot of fear. So what I would recommend is the tone is everything. You sit down, quiet. Quiet is critical in a space where you access quiet. The moment you're accessing quiet, by the way, just means you're listening to the sound of quiet. So you need to be present to listen to any sound. If I want to hear the cat or the dog or the wind in the trees or whatever, I need to now be here so I can hear it. I need to be conscious so I can give it my energy and attention to hear it. I'm asking you to do the same thing with being quiet so that you can ask yourself this question. Listen to the sound of quiet. It might take you 10 minutes. It might take you 15 minutes to fully be able to hear the sound of quiet. And just stay there. Often it's just, in my experience, it's so freeing and I don't know what word to use. But anyway, then ask the question, how am I really feeling? Could even say right now. Right now is key. How am I really feeling right now? Or just how am I really feeling? Pay attention to the tone. So I have to go into that quiet space to access the slower pace so that I can be present to then ask the question with the tone, how am I really feeling? Then I ask myself that question maybe 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. Just quietly. I can hear it though. I need to be able to hear it. How am I really feeling? How do I really feel? And as you ask the question a few times over in your own voice in a slower, pace, because you're present, you get to understand what the question really means. And that's where the magic is. Okay, so that's for that. Questions are incredibly, incredibly powerful. All right, we're going to dive into, just set it up, Libra now. I love that the Librans, the message has been the same for such a long time. I don't know what the message is going to be today, but it's been the same for such a long time, and that is creating a quiet space each day. Okay. You don't have to know all the answers that you think you need to know right now, dear Libra. The best thing you can do is take a step back, in particular today, so that you can allow life to show you the route. Allow life to show you the direction. And I'm sharing this with you because it feels as though you're trying really hard to set up all of these plans and ideas, all of which will then lead to you feeling more in control. And the reason that you want to feel more in control is perhaps because there's a feeling of being out of control. And so my recommendation for the Librans is to allow how it feels. Allow the emotions that are beneath feeling out of control. What emotions are there? Because the truth is, you don't want to feel those emotions. They're emotions that terrify you. Because if you feel them long enough, then the idea is that you'll stay there and you'll stay stuck in them and you'll never know how to get out of them. That's just an idea. There's no truth. That's how the ego communicates to you so that you can avoid as many of these emotions as possible. What I would love for you, for the Librans, and for you to see is actually how brave you are, how capable you are. And it's about feeling one emotion at a time. You don't have to overwhelm yourself, which is how the ego operates, to try and feel every single emotion that's sitting beneath the desperate need for control. So because I need to be in control, I'm going to make all these plans and busy my life up in a way so that I don't have to feel what it feels like to actually be out of control. And as I'm saying this, what I'm noticing is what life, this is so clear now, what life and your body are asking of you is for surrender. And what you're avoiding is surrender because of perhaps what you have made it mean about your life or you, things of that nature. Most importantly, the message for you from life and also from your body is that you need to surrender. And so all this control, plans and ideas and thoughts around having control means more so that you're out of control, that you don't have that control that you think you do. All of that you need to take a step away from today. And when you're ready, and I feel like you're ready, it's just whether you allow yourself to know that you're ready or not is a different story, then surrender. That's what needs to occur for the Librans right now. Okay, so I'll just export, keep this. So one of the things I love about doing these forecasts is because everything's intuitive, I don't actually know what I'm going to talk about. I have no idea. I have to, so I can say I have to trust the process. It's not even that, because once I'm present, when you're present, there's nothing, you don't need to trust anything. You're here. You're in the here and now. There's nothing else you need to be. You're here. And so what I love is the twists and turns that the forecasts take and make as I'm recording. There was a time where I used to write these down every day. And so I'm glad I don't have to do that anymore. In fact, I've done it for years until early this year, where everything changed and I started to do it just the way that I am now, not writing anything down. So the twists and turns and the messages chop and change over time, and sometimes even daily for each star sign. I have no idea what I'm going to present. No idea whatsoever. And I can also present forecasts that I have no understanding of too. And my thing is, doesn't matter. You don't need to understand it. It's not your message. It's not for you. Okay. So we have Scorpio. I love the forecast that I delivered for the Scorpio yesterday, because the biggest message that I wanted to give to the Scorpios yesterday And it was really interesting to watch the feedback that came in. But the biggest message, hey, buddy, got one of my cats. The biggest message was, yes, it's been difficult, but stop looking at how difficult it's been, right? And the amount of Scorpios that wrote back and said, oh, yes, it has been really difficult. And they continue to talk about the difficulties. And I feel like there's a point where you have to stop. You have to stop talking about how difficult everything is so that you can experience what's available to you, whether that's transformation, whether that's raising your vibration, moving to a new level of your life, or making some very simple decisions and changes. But if you keep focusing, all of us, because it's a tendency we all have, on how difficult, and it's so difficult, it's been so hard, then you're going to stay in that energy. There's no room for transformation when you keep staying in at that lower vibration. But it was really interesting to read the comments or the DMs about the Scorpios continuing to focus on how difficult it was. Okay, so let's see what Scorpio has today. It's all in the conversation you have with yourself and also with other people, dear Scorpio. It's the words that you're using that make or break you and your life. This is an interesting one, and it's a challenging one because, how do I put this? Sometimes, okay, it's important to share how you feel and to be honest about how you feel, right? And sharing how you feel and being honest about how you feel is one thing. However, to continue to go into the story and the reasons for why you feel how you feel is where the problem lies, right? And what you have an opportunity to do in your life is step away from all these stories, because the stories are consuming you and they're going to keep you trapped in the past. In order for you to move forward, you can't continue having part of your energy and attention onto the past. And one of the ways that you continue to have part of your energy and attention on the past is by focusing on the stories. There is no story that is here and now. Every story is either from the past or it's an idea or thought about the future that doesn't actually exist. And so the practice for the Scorpios at the moment really needs to be present moment awareness and keep coming back to the present moment. Most importantly, just removing your attention from all the stories. Sure, say how you feel. I feel frustrated. Let me give you an example. This morning, I woke up this morning. It's a super early morning for me because of the animals that I have. And I noticed that I felt really flat this morning. Even I did all the things that I needed to do for the animals, went out, had a morning coffee, drank my coffee quietly by myself, and I noticed that I still felt flat. And number one is just accepting it. Okay, I feel flat. I don't need to know the reason. Because if I need to know the reason, then I have to now fix, change, and improve things to try to make myself feel better. I would rather allow myself to feel what I'm feeling. What's actually sitting there will reveal itself to me over time. And then the thought was, oh, no, I can't be flat because I'm about to do a live. I need to be upbeat. I was like, no, I don't need to be anything different. I just need to be in the present moment when I'm on my live. So nothing else exists anymore. It doesn't matter. The flatness, whatever it is, dissipates because I'm here in the present moment. And so what I noticed is then I grabbed one of my dogs and went for a really great uphill walk. And any emotion that I was feeling for all the different reasons, I didn't care about the reasons because I knew it wasn't useful. Everything dissipated. None of it remained. And I'm just sharing this with you because had I gone into the story of why I felt flat, I would have been trapped by that story and I would be stuck there. Okay. I think that's a big one for the Scorpios because of how easy it is to be consumed by stories. And I hope that giving that example of my morning can be useful for them or for you as a Scorpio. It's difficult, I feel, and can be very difficult to just allow what is here to be here. That's a very difficult thing to do, of course. However, what you're doing, the more you bring your energy and attention to the present moment, like this morning, I feel flat. And then coming back to the present moment, I don't need to change it. For as long as I need to change it, then I'm going to be in a battle and I'm going to be operating from my head, and that's not going to be useful for me. Don't get me wrong, of course I'm going to oscillate between the head and being in the present moment. That's natural. And then more often than not, when I notice that I've gone into a story again, take a deep breath, come back to the here and now, feel sensations. And it's not that the stories change or they go away and it's not that they need to, is what I'm getting at. It's more that my attention comes back to the present moment and I focus on what actually matters, because the stories don't. In that, like for example, in this morning. Okay. What happens if we can't get out of the stories we narrate in our heads, even though we know it doesn't help us move forward in life and is making us become stuck? I love it. Okay, cool. What an awesome question. I love this stuff. So let me show you how I'm going to address the question, just to support you to access your intuition as well. What happens if we can't get out of the stories? Okay, we narrate in our heads. So first thing you want to acknowledge and notice is that the narration that is going on in your head or our head, that's not who we are. So that voice that sounds like us, looks like us, breathes like us, smells like us, that's not who we truly are. That's a part of us, but it's not who we truly are, right? And that's the ego's version. So that's the ego viewing life from what's happened in the past, okay? So the narration is from the past and continues to offer its understanding, very limited understanding, a very judgmental understanding of what's occurred in the past, and that's how it lives on and continues to narrate. You don't have to get out of the stories. The truth is you're not even in them, right? If you can, which you can, every time you hear the narration, you'll hear one now. What you want to do is bring your attention to feeling sensations in the inner energy field of your body. Anywhere in the body, it doesn't matter where you are. And at first, this is very difficult to do, because then what happens is the narrating gets a lot louder because it needs your attention. The ego is terrified of within because it doesn't have access to what's within, okay, to who you truly are. It doesn't have access, therefore it needs your attention to continuously be on anything that's entertaining. So any thought that's entertaining, anything that is external, that's how it continues to access you and your attention. And that's how it uses your power as well. Again, the ego is not a bad thing or good thing. You can't be here without the ego, okay? It's part of the body. So what you can do is continue to feel, let's say, the flow of the breath. That's a sensation as well. 3 seconds, 10 seconds, just come back to the sensations in the inner energy field of the body. As you practice this and you continue to do this more and more, then your need and the entertainment of those stories begin to dissipate tremendously. It's going to take a lot of practice though, right? And this is what I call doing the work. Is there's only one thing I always say when I work with people is you have one job. You only ever have one job. That one job is bring your attention to feeling sensations. So whatever occurs in your head, the story may be, oh, but life is, I'm going through a really hard time and life is really difficult, so on and so forth. Stop. Just in that moment, stop. And when I say stop, what you're doing is you're stopping giving energy or attention to this conversation. Without your attention, it doesn't actually exist and it cannot continue to exist. So what you do is you stop giving it attention in that moment. Instead, so I feel sensations, and then I'm going to bring my attention to anywhere in the inner energy field of the body so that I can be in the present moment. You will eventually be guided as you keep coming back to the present moment by your intuition, right? It's going to take a lot of practice. So I just want to make that very clear, because sometimes people come back and go, oh, but I'm still stuck in the stories. Okay, yeah, of course you are. You've spent your entire life convincing yourself that you've been stuck in these stories. You can't just go and breathe for 10 seconds and come back and go, oh, wow, I'm now free of these stories. It doesn't work that way. So your practice is to don't give it your attention. Instead, remove your attention from the story, the commentary, by coming back to feeling sensations. And the next step I would recommend is, again, through practice and over time, is it's really powerful to observe the commentary, because a commentary has its place. It's actually what's telling you, and letting you know all the stories and ideas and whatever it may be that have been handed to you, passed down to you, that are stuck in your body, and how to address them. The how to address them part is where intuition comes into play. But there's nothing I find more intriguing and sometimes really powerful is to presently observe that inner commentary. And often the words and the things that are on repeat in that inner commentary is my moment of awakening. It's my moment of, damn, is that what I've been telling myself all these years? Could be I've been telling myself, I don't believe I can be successful, right? Just as an example. And so if I stop through present moment awareness only, though, and I observe that commentary, what I will find is it's on repeat. It's just saying the same thing, sometimes in different words, different content, but ultimately what it keeps saying is, I can't be successful in this world, and it might even have a reason for it. That is my awakening moment. Because once I see that through present moment awareness, that's where transformation can truly take place. So it's one thing to come back to the present moment. It's another thing to observe that beautiful inner commentary. And I say beautiful because it's thanks to that inner commentary that you then get to awaken and realize what's true and what isn't true. Again, everything I'm saying here takes work. Okay, I hope that's useful. Sagittarius. Okay, let's go to today's forecast for Sagittarius. You have to be willing to give yourself a little bit of breathing room today, dear Sagittarius. And I'm sharing this with you because there are some, I even want to say old, but perhaps odd, bits and pieces of thoughts and emotions that are rising to the surface for you. Even like conversations that you would think, why am I even having that conversation in my mind? The inner dialogue and the content that is going through your mind today just needs a little bit of breathing room. And my feeling is that all of this is arising for it to make space. You've asked for something greater in your life. And whatever it is, that you've asked for requires a lot of space, right? And so that means the thoughts and ideas and concepts that are taking up your mental space need to go. And that's what's occurring for you today. Maybe it may even last for about 6 to 7 days. Some of the content will be quite interesting and odd. It's like, that's weird. Why am I even thinking that? So for the Sagittarians, it's about allowing whatever is there, let it move through, which can be challenging to do, of course, because it's so easy to jump on the bandwagon of whatever that thought is and then become consumed by it and get lost. You have to remember that you've asked for something greater. I'm going to ask the Sagittarians today in particular, maybe sit with yourself and remember whatever it is that you have asked for of late in your life, and understand that whatever you ask for in your life or whatever intention you set, first thing that happens is space has to be cleared. And often what is taking up your space are emotions, thoughts, ideas, and concepts, things that have been passed down to you from generations before you. They all need to be cleared in order for you to have the space to bring to fruition whatever your intention is. And that's what's occurring. Again, maybe 6 to 7 days. The interesting part is how odd some of the content is going to be. Just make sure that you don't make any decisions based on the mental content. It's so easy to, if we're not present, to make decisions based on the mental content, especially for Sagittarians. So that's why I'm saying for them, be very mindful. Yes, there's going to be lots of different thoughts and odd ones in particular, but no decisions need to be made. Okay, we're going to jump onto Capricorn and wrap it up pretty soon. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask. I've allowed, I believe, roughly 90 minutes for these morning segments, and if they need to be shorter, they'll be shorter as well. Just depends. Okay, Capricorn. You'll feel pleasantly surprised today, dear Capricorn, and you'll feel pleasantly surprised by you. I get the feeling that there are certain actions that you're going to move forward with in your life, and that is what will pleasantly surprise you. These are actions that maybe you've wanted to take in your life, in particular recently, and you've also had many reasons as to why you couldn't take these actions. I'm not sure exactly what it is that has shifted, other than something feels incredibly free. Now, I know for recent weeks, maybe it was like 6 or 7 weeks, it was very difficult for the Capricorns in particular around having to make lots of different decisions. And then the suggestion was don't make any decisions, just hold out for a moment. So all of that is finished. The noise around all those decisions have now finished. And that's probably why it's beginning to feel quite airy, quite light for the Capricorns at the moment. What you'll also find is that you're in a position in your life where you can make some new decisions. What I would recommend for you is please don't overwhelm yourself with lots of different decisions. There's a direction in your life that is most valuable to you right now. And so make sure that your decisions are aligned with that one direction, rather than making 20 different decisions about 20 different areas of your life. And then that way you'll actually forget what your current direction is. The current direction of your life, which I believe has shifted recently, is exactly what's working for you. So make sure your decisions and your actions, the new ones that you're about to make, remain aligned with that. Okay, and that's for the Capricorn. Sometimes I love it when the forecasts are just short and sweet, that it need a lot of explanation. Originally, when I started these, I think I said this, I wanted these to be a minute each, but that never quite happens because it's based on intuition, so I don't know what's going to happen and I can't limit intuition. Okay, so we have Aquarius. Just give it a moment. Oh, okay. Cool, thank you. Allow yourself to be open to the signs that are currently in your life, dear Aquarius. And I feel like these are very new signs. And when I say allow yourself to be open to them, these are signs that are showing you possibilities, perhaps more so what is possible. Now, it's very easy for the thoughts in your head to get in the way and negate, which is something that can be quite typical of the Aquarians. So you'll have a few signs in your life that show you what's possible, what the possibilities are. And what you'll find is very quickly a thought pops in and negates it. And the thought, for example, says, oh, no, something like that is not possible for somebody like me. I'm not in that position, so I can't make that decision, or I can't take that type of action. And that's where you fall short a little bit sometimes. So your best bet at the moment for the Aquarians is just to allow the signs, the fact that there are certain possibilities that are now available to you, to remain. Don't try to negate these possibilities. Let them be. Notice, however, you're uncomfortable about these possibilities. So your greatest opportunity here isn't necessarily the possibilities, it's more so recognizing the discomfort that you have around the fact that there are possibilities, and there could be an idea somewhere sitting in the back of your mind that you don't deserve it, or that you're not enough, or that whatever, something of that nature. I don't know if it's necessarily about deserving or not. However, something of that nature sits in the back of your mind, and that's the part of you that often, I would say, arcs up when there are possibilities, because that part of you has for many years convinced you as to what isn't possible because of who you are, which is really interesting. So because of who you are, you can't be somebody that gets to experience X, Y, Z. So something of that dialogue goes on somewhere in the back of your mind. You don't need to do anything about the dialogue. You have nothing to prove. The best thing you can do is bring your attention to being in the present moment. Allow that part of you to be up and release. That's all. There's one job. Feel sensations in the inner energy field of the body. There's nothing here for you to work out. Aquarians have such a great ability to get in their heads very quickly and negate possibilities. I don't know that I've seen any other star sign negate possibilities more than Aquarians. That doesn't make them right or wrong, good or bad. It's just that can be one of their biggest downfalls. So practicing present moment awareness is critical, in particular for the Aquarians over the next maybe 6 to 7 weeks, especially because over the next 6 to 7 weeks, you'll start to see a lot more. Where am I looking at there? A lot more of these possibilities that want to show you more of who you are, more of what you're capable of, and then you've got that background noise. Let the background noise be there. Don't try to get rid of it, and don't try to shut it down either. Just let it express itself. Hold space for it. Hold space for it as you would for a friend that's going through something that feels dark and scary, and they're afraid of the story that they're going through. Your job, though, is to hold space for them so that they can go through what they're going through without needing to fix, change, or improve anything. As you hold space for them, they can be as they are, and that's where the transformation takes place. But you need to do that for yourself, Aquarians. Okay, and let's dive into the last forecast of the day. Always is the Pisces. Right now for you, dear Pisces, the key is to keep putting one foot in front of the other. There doesn't need to be any big leaps and bounds for you to take. There are no big leaps and bounds for you to take at the moment. It's all about small steps and being consistent and making sure that in your day you have quiet time. And the reason that you need that quiet time, in particular as a Pisces, is so that you can be clear about what it is that you are doing. Nothing interferes more for the Pisceans in terms of their ability to be in their success. Nothing interferes more than the idea that they don't know what they want. They don't know what they're doing. And there's a lot of, I don't know how this is going to happen. I don't know what I want to. There's a lot of that kind of sits in the mind of the Pisceans. And what you want to do every single day, as much as possible, just get clear. Keep getting clear. Ask questions that support you to get clear. And the more clarity that you have about what you're doing, about where you're at in your life, about what you love, then the easier it becomes for you to access the flow, the energy of ease and grace, and then feel that you are moving forward. What makes you feel that you are stuck is when you keep saying, I don't know. So instead of the I don't know, I'm going to suggest for the Pisceans is take a few breaths, come back to the present moment, go for a walk, because whatever you think you need to know and you keep saying, I don't know, that's the ego having a conversation with the ego. Don't get involved. Leave it, go for a walk, or do something that is quite physical that will support you to remove your attention from I don't know, or the energy of I don't know, which creates a lot of uncertainty in your life and in your decision-making process. And it's not something you need right now. So in order for you to access certainty, then movement will be key so that you're not sitting fueling this I don't know energy. Okay, I'm just going to explain something here before I look at wrapping it up. So here's the thing. For the Pisceans, there's a lot of I don't know energy. And sometimes there's the I don't care energy. You have to be careful of those two things. And usually a Piscean has disconnected from themselves when they're in the I don't know and I don't care state, right? So what I recommend for the Pisceans to do is the more time and energy you spend grounding to earth, to where you are, whatever. Let's just say I'm sitting in this room. And the more I give energy to feeling my feet on the ground, just being quiet, the easier it becomes for me to access my certainty. There's always going to be uncertainty. That's on the point, and it doesn't matter. And sometimes because there's uncertainty, you freak out and convince yourself that things are not working out and so on and so forth. There's always going to be uncertainty. You have the opportunity to either, or the option perhaps, to either plug into certainty or you can continue to plug into uncertainty. So when you're feeling that uncertainty and you don't know how things are going to work out, so on and so forth, bring your attention to grounding yourself, and movement is what helps the Pisceans ground to earth. Okay, and I'm sure it's something that we've all heard before. Pisceans are of this world, but they're never really in this world. And you're here, so you need to live here. Okay, there's no point in being halfway, right? You need to live here on earth whilst you are here. So in order for you to live here on earth whilst you are here, movement is going to be your key, which is probably why you guys get videos of me climbing hills all the time, because I need it. Okay, yeah, grounding in time. That's it. That's the forecast for today. If any of you have any questions, I'll give it another minute or so. If not, that's okay. You can also DM me. You can email me. I will actually go and grab the link for... I can't do that right now. Okay. Oh, no, I can't. I was going to grab the link for those of you that are interested in sessions, intuitive sessions. Now, I'm only providing them for a little bit because I do take up quite a lot of my time, so I don't actually do these very often. And I am very selective with who I work with, not because people are right or wrong, good or bad. It's more that I want to make sure that I'm the right fit for you and that I can offer you exactly what it is you're looking for, which is the ability to hear and feel your own intuition, just to make that clear. Thank you for being here. I appreciate your time, and I will be back again tomorrow.